I lost 150,000 on one mistake. And the worst part, I saw it coming, but I ignored the signs. We all make mistakes in life. Some cost you time, others cost you money. The key is to learn from them so that they don't destroy your business. Welcome back to my channel. My goal is to help you grow and get better by passing all my life and business lessons to you for free so that you don't have to make the same mistakes. I have started, succeeded, and failed in multiple businesses. Along the way, I have learned 3 key lessons that changed how I think about business forever. One mistake cost me over 6 figures. Another made me realize what truly matters. And the third one has allowed me to pivot several times and succeed even when everything is stacked against me. So in this video today, I will break down those 3 lessons so that you don't have to make the same mistakes I made. All right, let's start with lesson number 1, because this is where I completely misunderstood what business I was in. My cleaning business failed because I focused on the wrong thing. What do you mean by that? Isn't that pretty obvious? You're cleaning people's properties, you do household chores. Yes. And the value proposition was this: people always pay for time and convenience. So they actually buy time from you so that they can do something else when they don't want to clean their house or iron their shirts or do any of the other household chores that our people were willing to do for them. That's true. That's the service, that's the value add. But every business has its competitive advantage. There are several problems on your plate all the time, identifying what that big thing is that you need to do better than everybody else in the marketplace in order to turn your business idea into a scalable business so that you can maybe at the end of the day sell it. With this cleaning business, what we thought mattered was that we over-focused on marketing, pricing strategies, and all of that. I thought I was in the business of acquiring customers, having a competitive pricing model, finding my niche that way. But what actually mattered was that I was in the business of managing talent. We had a way to bring low-cost employees into the country, immigrants, and as a result, we had a pretty hefty profit margin built into the business. So we identified a way to introduce these people into the country who had never been here, immigrants, and then put together a model that was low cost, high value for the paying customer. What we didn't understand that we were actually in the business of acquiring talent, training them, and retaining them. That was the major part. We should have been able to nail that perfectly so that the business would have scaled and grown much more than what it did. Then we ended up pulling the plug because we couldn't get the immigration issues under control. So what went wrong? It was exactly that. The lesson: understand what business you are in. You need to always analyze it in detail before you get going so that you can truly understand what makes a difference, what your competitive advantage is. Idea risk versus execution risk. This is a big one. So every company, when you start, it has a risk related to the idea itself and then the execution part. Maybe if I start a gas station tomorrow or a grocery store, as we all know, that business concept is proven. We know that it can succeed in the marketplace if I just manage it properly. So then I'm only dealing with the execution part. But what if I wanted to launch a new company, a startup that competes against, let's say, Facebook? That would be an idea risk. In our case, of course, the idea risk was smaller, but that was related to government regulations, immigration laws, etc. And I failed to understand that. So we were a combination of execution and idea risks, and I was overly focused on the execution part. Still a couple of words about what business you're in. I'll give you a couple of examples from my past. So if I think about my house flipping business, for instance, back in the day in the US, I was in the business of acquiring properties, first and foremost. I had to build a relationship with the real estate agents and with the homeowners. So I had to have my pipeline full all the time and then have a way to crank them out, rehab them, and then sell them effectively. What about this coaching business or consulting overall? You're in the business of providing accurate information, adding value to your paying customers. It doesn't matter how much you sell or market if what you do doesn't add value, if you can't improve your client's life, so to say. What about my brother's heavy-duty buy and sell truck business? Buy and sell. You have to have enough velocity, speed when it comes to buying the right trucks and being able to sell them faster than anybody else so that your machine starts to make money, understanding what the trends are. A couple of examples there in terms of understanding what business you're in. As the last part, how much did it cost me? 10,000 only. I think this was a pretty cheap lesson to learn. But step number one always is to understand what business you're in. If the first mistake was cheap, this one, not so much. 150,000 lost. Walk me through it. Yes, I will. This is painful. Assuming is not knowing. Never assume, always rely on facts. If you see something being wrong, intervene right away. Stop that negative pattern. Don't let it continue. My $150,000 remodel mistake. I had a successful remodeling business. I'm not talking about single family homes here. This is in Europe. This is not the business I had in the States. What we did was that we had these larger remodeling projects where we completely overhauled these older buildings. Let's say anywhere between 8 to 15 to 16 units, so larger scale projects. The problem with construction overall when it comes to remodeling is that you start at step 4 or 5. In order for you to go to step 10, you need to go first back to 0 and then, so 5 steps back in order to take 10 steps forward. This is the remodeling business where you have an existing building where you have to tear everything down first, take it down to studs and then go from there. Whereas when you do new construction, you start from scratch right away, meaning from point 0, right? So that's the biggest difference. So when you run a massive project like the ones we did, we had to make a lot of assumptions in the beginning. The first 7 or 8 projects we did were all profitable. We did well. And the reason was that we still had a manageable cost structure, and the assumptions we made, we had a certain safety margin built into them. What changed now in this particular project was that, first of all, the war in Ukraine, inflation, material costs skyrocketing, so the landscape was different. And we also had some turnover at our general contractor side. So there was a change in personnel. All big changes alone, let alone having all 4 stacked on top of each other all at the same time. Ignored the signals, past assumptions. So I made some assumptions based on past behavior, and I was relying on the fact that we are able to correct the ship, make the necessary corrections along the way so that this particular project would continue to be successful. But there were just too many variables that I couldn't control. But there were early signals, and that's on me. I failed to recognize them. And even though I had that intuition that this is not going perfectly or well enough, I just failed to intervene. And that's really something that bothers me a lot after the fact, because I saw that outcome. I had that gut feeling, that internal energy that this is not going to end well, but I failed to intervene because I was too busy doing something else. So focused on several different projects. And this is one of those things I've talked about a lot in this channel, how focus is the most important thing we have. Ignored data. We had an alarming trend from first project along to the 6th or 7th that we had a rising cost. We tried to tackle that with several changes, of which one was this new general contractor or the person heading that team. But we failed to understand that this person wasn't qualified. And that's the change we should have made a lot earlier in order to stop the bleeding. Yeah, what went wrong? As I said, several things, personnel and material cost related. Lesson, what did I learn from this? Never assume, collect facts. I should have recognized the alarming trend, rising costs, and implemented a larger change in the business model earlier. Numbers never lie. Always rely on your numbers, never on your assumptions. Negative pattern, intervene. I already mentioned this, but when you see something going south, just stop it right away. That's much better than waiting until the end, expecting a different outcome, but doing the same things. One definition of insanity, by the way. And trust the first time. I have no problem giving people a second chance, but I don't want to be the first guy giving that opportunity. And this is something I should have understood with that personal change on the contractor side. Again, 150,000 lesson, but very valuable. Would I do it again? Probably, yeah, I would, because the lessons are just much more valuable than the cost itself. So this was my second lesson based on my long career as an entrepreneur. And next we have the third one. My last and third lesson, I can't put a number or value to it, but this means everything to me. This skill has made it possible for me to pivot several times, start from scratch, and repeat those winning actions over and over and do different things. Understanding that if I just follow my recipe, my formula for success, I can make it no matter what the industry is. Lesson number 3, the one thing that matters the most. I've always been very good at understanding what truly matters. I look at a very complex situation and I have the ability to simplify it and see what truly matters. And it's a combination of big picture understanding, connecting the dots, recognizing patterns, or whatever you call it. If I look back in my own life, I've basically prepared myself for this my whole life. Ever since I was a young teenager or a young adult, I've always done a lot of thinking. I've always been very analytical. That, in combination with my ability to take action, has really taken me far as being able to do different things. And this is more than just money to me. I've said many times on this channel that I have 2 goals in my life right now. Number 1, I want to live my life on my own terms so that I don't have any regrets at the end of the day. And then I also want to see at the end of the day how good I truly am. It has nothing to do with money. Money is a byproduct. So people who think that this is about materialistic things, no, far from that. I'm actually trying to lecture to myself, remind myself about these key priorities, and also pass on these same learnings to you guys. But let's walk this through in more detail. Every major pivot comes down to one critical action, understanding what truly matters. I have 3 examples here. So my first business, when I started after a long corporate career, it was all about marketing. I had to get out of my comfort zone and just do a lot of cold calling. Call real estate agents, homeowners, and market the heck out of it so that I would make name for myself. And I only had one promise to make. I was like, I make good promises and I keep them all. That's all that mattered. Somehow I was able to understand what I had to do. And oftentimes, if you ask yourself, what is that I avoid the most, or what feels hard to me, the answer is usually there. But since it's hard, it's uncomfortable, people usually try to avoid it because we always connect uncomfortable with something that automatically is bad for us. But I don't think it's that way. Most of the time, those uncomfortable feelings and things are actually good for us in the long term, especially in business. My second major pivot when I moved to Europe started from scratch, and here it was all about networking. It was a combination of marketing as well, but I had to expand my network. I had to make sure that I could expand my business to new areas. I wanted to start doing larger scale projects, not just individual fix and flips, which I did in the US, but I wanted to do new construction, larger remodeling projects, which my second lesson was all about, and all of that. So I had to network. I had to reach out to people that were outside my comfort zone. And then personal brand. I had been studying for 2 or 3 years about the importance of branding going forward. And I posted a video about this a few weeks ago regarding how AI is going to completely revolutionize this game. So we roughly have, between 3 and 5 years to build that brand when Alexa, whoever the AI assistant is in the future, and wants to find that solution provider or find that solution for you. Let's say your AC is broken in your house and you tell somebody, Alexa or anybody in the background, hey, find somebody who has the most 5-star reviews in my area who can solve this problem for me. If you don't have a personal brand, you or your business doesn't have a brand, there's no way Alexa or anybody else can connect the dots behind the scenes and find your business. So now we have a unique opportunity to build that brand, which I started 10 months ago on social media. So this pivot, the thing that mattered the most at that point was about social media and content. Face the camera, face my fears, and just start doing a lot of volume to get better. And this is also my way of marketing my business coaching new venture or business, if you will. Okay, lesson number 1, success. It's always about simple steps. People think complex is the answer, but no, it's the simple things that matter. But what's really hard is doing them for the long term. Because that boring middle is when everybody starts to suffer from the shiny object syndrome. Look at something that looks shinier and better on the other side of the fence. The boring middle, like the Olympic marathon run, that's where the winner gets decided. There's always that one thing that you need to see. Remove the clutter, turn the volume down, get rid of that noise inside your head. Buy yourself time to think, to see things clearly so that you can recognize what truly matters. Connect the dots, recognize patterns, because everything in life goes in cycles. Whether it's politics, trends, historical events, they come and go. We seem to repeat the same mistakes as people. So there's one spoiler there. Okay, so number 3, face those fears and take action. That's one of the things I've been really good at. I don't know if it's natural. To me, I don't think so. I've been forced to practice that a lot, but I think my talent or my quote unquote superpower is related to the fact that I can understand what truly matters. I can take a complex problem, simplify it, look at that one thing and take massive action regardless of how I feel. I think that's what that boils down to. Price tag, value, I put a question mark, I don't know. But to me, money is not the thing here. It's my ability to start, scale, and learn. That's how I look at it. So at the end of the day, when I'm 105 in whatever home, whether it's a retirement home or hopefully my own home, I look back, no regrets. That's my goal. Okay, it's time to summarize. What did we go through today? Lesson number 1, understand what business you are in. Number 2, assuming is not knowing. And number 3, the one thing that matters the most. If you remember these lessons, you will make better decisions, avoid losses, and grow faster. Which one of these resonated the most with you? Or do you have any other lessons that you want to share with me and everybody else? I would like to hear back from you. Again, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, please remember to hit the like and the subscribe buttons. I would highly appreciate it. I know time is your most valuable resource, so I don't take it for granted that you watch my videos and give me feedback. I truly appreciate it. This was all for today, and I'll talk to you again next time. Thanks.